welcome to Last Word, the Ink and Quill podcast from Ink and Quill Press. I'm Jan Abel, but that's not important. We've got a guest with us. Guest, introduce yourself. I need a name, some pronouns, the best way you can confuse a telemarketer. You know, all the usual stuff.
Well, my name is Siobhan Johnson, and the Siobhan is not spelled like it sounds. That's the easiest way to know if I'm speaking to a telemarketer or somebody that actually knows me. My pronouns are she and her. And if you ask me nicely, I might even let you know how I spell my name.
Terrifying.
It is.
It is terrifying to spell your name, I can say that much. So how are you doing today? I guess I asked you that earlier, but I can ask you again.
I'm doing okay. We finally got some rain, and I really enjoyed that. I actually danced on the front porch of my daughter's house with her in the rain, singing the song Singing in the Rain.
Of course.
From the movie Singing in the Rain. And it was marvelous. It was a wonderful way to round out my afternoon.
Nice.
Before starting my evening.
Yeah. Well, it has rained cats and dogs here just for weeks.
As long as it's nice and sunny and warm during the middle part of the day from about 10:30, 11 o'clock until about 2, I'll be fine because tomorrow I expect to have a small child with me and enjoy the pool in my backyard.
That is the best way to deal with a small child, throwing them in bodies of water. That's true.
Yes. And this one is attracted to bodies of water. It's like a magnet.
Well, with a terrible, and I do mean this is about to be a terrible segue, you have a book called Dangerous Passions.
It is. Well, it's a dangerous passion to throw a child into a pool. It's her passion to be swimming. So make it a little less awkward segue there.
No, I tried. So your book, it got a makeover, has a new cover, but could you maybe tell listeners what the book is about?
Certainly. It is about a young single mother. Mm-hmm. She has 2 children, and she is a workaholic. She wants everything to, run smoothly. She's in charge of a warehouse, which is typically in this day and age, maybe not so much, but when I wrote the book, typically a man's job. Mm-hmm. And so she is running this warehouse. She's got somebody that her boss wants to hire to come in to help with some of the logistics, and she butts heads with him right away, of course, but she's also incredibly attracted to him. She has a kind of a stalker, a guy that she went out with a few times that has become obsessed with her. And so she's kind of balancing between all of this, and that's where we come across the dangerous part of her passion, because she's attracted to somebody that she's very much doesn't want to get involved with initially because they're going to be working with him, and that's really not the best thing to do. And then she's got this guy that's obsessed with her that is kind of really scary in some ways. And as the story goes on, she becomes more involved with the guy that she's attracted to, and the scary guy gets even scarier. He starts stalking her. There's a couple of scenes where we're hearing from him what he's doing. He's watching her when she's at the park with her kids. He gets into her house when she's sleeping at night, things like that.
Oh, God.
It's really kind of funny. My first draft or 2, I let one of my sisters read it, and she happened to be reading it in the house, and somebody came in one of the doors and startled her because she was right at a very tense part.
Oh God, I've done that.
Which was nice. It was nice because it kind of affirmed for me that I did have the right tension in my writing. Mm-hmm. So I was happy with that.
Nothing makes writers more excited than when they terrify people, right?
Exactly. And the nice thing about Dangerous Passions is that it's got some scary stuff in it, but it's also got some extreme heat in it.
Ooh.
It's not necessarily open door, as I know you have learned that phrase from Leanne.
I have.
But it is very steamy in parts. Mm-hmm. And what I like to say I do is I write women's fiction. Mm-hmm. I kind of joked with my mom, who has actually read the book, that, it's sort of like, hysterical romance. I call it hysterical romance.
I like that. I like that genre.
She said, your writing is of a higher level than your typical romance novel.
Mm-hmm.
So she encouraged me to call it women's fiction.
Nice.
Because it is from the point of view of the woman.
Yeah.
And I'm not making characters that are, beautiful on the screen and they've got a perfect life except for one little foible here or there. I base a lot of my female characters on my own experiences. Some of those in the book are my own experiences too, but I will not tell you which ones. I let people just imagine, okay, which of these situations that she finds herself in is real and which one is just made up from a creative perspective.
Yeah. So
and there are real world problems in the book for the woman, and that's what I like about it.
Yeah. So I did in fact do my homework, believe it or not. I don't do it very often, but I did for you. You are one of only 4 people who has been in both of Ink and Quill's anthologies so far. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Well, could you do me a favor? Could you summarize, you're in both Sinister and you're in Distant Worlds. Can you maybe summarize real quick what your 2 short stories are?
I can remember what they were. The one, if I'm remembering correctly, it was something to do with, she's from another planet, and she's come here, and she's been married to this individual, and she keeps being taken back to her planet, Venus, and chastised, and she's being kind of on trial. And every time that she reaches a certain mile marker on her way home in our world and on Earth, she gets taken back into her own world. It's sort of like a time warp.
Yeah.
There's a wormhole or something right there. And I guess giving away the end of the short story, if this is the one that's actually included, I should have done my own homework. She, somehow her husband follows her through the wormhole. And there's a realization for the female character that she's trying to help her people understand on Venus, that she is not responsible for the destructive tendencies of the man.
Yeah.
And he's been doing these things to himself, and when they both come out of the wormhole on the other side at a different mile marker. I mean, for us, driving down the highway wouldn't be a mile.
Yeah.
But for them, we really don't know what the time frame is. But when they come out of that wormhole, he crashes his car. He crashes his vehicle, and that's how he dies. And it's sort of a vindication, because she didn't remember exactly how he was killed, and she's been going back in this loop with the people on her at home for her, trying to justify herself in saying she didn't do anything wrong, didn't kill him, and they're saying, well, kind of prove it to us. She finally realizes what happened.
All right, so your email signature, you said you were a poet. And so now I want to know what you think is harder, writing poetry, writing short stories, or writing the longer works of fiction.
What's harder? I would say that it really depends on my mood. Some days writing poetry is dragging words out of me. And when I wrote my first book, Dangerous Passions, I would sit down at the computer and I would just rattle things off. It just flowed. I had it in me and it was coming out my fingers. I think, however, that I find that more difficult than the short versions, the poems, the short stories. As I think of it, though, I would probably say novels short stories, and then poetry as far as hardest to easiest.
Gotcha.
Because a short story is a little bit more tricky in that it has to be complete.
Mm-hmm.
As complete as you can make it.
Yeah.
Short story. In fewer words than you've got for your novels. I do have a second novel that I believe is being considered by Ink and Quill, and it was a lot harder to write than my first one. I wrote a lot of poetry between the two. So that stuff sort of just kind of comes to me much easier than the longer pieces.
Mm-hmm.
A longer piece, you really have to think about your timelines, and you have to make sure that you didn't completely trash that timeline halfway through the book.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of moving parts to it. So that's why I find it much more difficult. That and getting somebody to read it for you, so you can get some feedback on it, so you know what you need to fix. A poem, boom, it's there.
Mm-hmm.
They can react to it right away. A short story is a little bit easier than a novel, but getting somebody to sit down and read your novel draft it's like pulling teeth.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's always interesting when I ask writers, long form writers, poets, all of that, because everyone has a different answer, right? Sometimes it is easier to write poetry, sometimes it is like pulling teeth. And so I think that's a cool question to ask. Well, this last one, this is a little bit easier. We were talking about throwing children in pools a little earlier. We're not throwing any children in the pool. Not right now, at least. But if you had to choose between only reading children's picture books or only reading a single dictionary for the rest of your life, which would you choose and why?
I would choose the children's picture books.
Agreed.
Because it provides a lot more imagination and creativity and feeds my soul much more than just reading a dictionary. In a children's picture book, you can make up the words yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you can express them differently from day to day, depending upon how you're feeling when you read that book.
You also
read a children's picture book.
You also don't get as many pretty pictures in the dictionary.
This is true. Very true. I have not yet seen a dictionary that is so beautifully illustrated I would want to spend the rest of my life reading it.
Right. All right, I think we are just about out of time, so thank you again to Siobhan. This has been Last Word, the Ink and Quill podcast. As always, our author gets the last word.
All right, what I would encourage you all to do is read, whether it's poetry, short stories, or novels. Read, listen, enjoy.
Well, that was so beautiful. I feel bad about this, but I get the last laugh. Ah.